Hey yogis, welcome to my channel. My name is Cassandra and today we're going to do a short flow to help you release tightness in your calves and ankles. This is something that has been heavily requested, and all of the poses that we're going to do today will be fairly simple, but you will need to have one block for the practice, and just put your block somewhere close at the top of the mat to begin. So we're going to start with one of probably the best poses that you can do, especially for the feet and ankles. This is called toe squat. So you want to curl your toes under, and as much as possible, try to let your hips sit back onto your heels. And you might need to move the little toe out of the way if it curls under. So for some people, this is extremely intense. If you need to come out, just release and point your toes back. And for others, you might not feel too much, but we're going to hang out here for a few breaths. So as you inhale, reach your arms, circle them all the way up. And exhale, circle the arms back down. So twice more like this. Inhale. And exhale, trying to distract ourselves from the sensation in the feet and the ankles. Inhale up. And this time as you exhale, bring your left arm towards your right knee, right hand behind you into a twist. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. We're going to twist the other way. Exhale, right arm forward, left arm back, opening through the chest. Come all the way back up. Inhale. And let's release tabletop pose. Exhale, curl those toes back, point them back, and maybe roll a little bit. Find your tabletop pose, palms underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Spread your fingertips nice and wide, just moving through cat and cow. As you inhale, drop your belly, lift the gaze, curl tailbone up. Exhale, round your spine, chin to chest. Twice more here. Inhale, opening up, little back bend. Exhale, contracting and rounding. Last one. Exhale, release. And coming back to your neutral tabletop pose, extend your right leg behind you and push into your right heel. So keep the ball of that foot down on the mat and push into the heel as much as you can, engaging the muscles in that leg, stretching into the calf. You should feel this on the right side. Really keep breathing here. No tension in the neck or shoulders. You're gonna pick up that right foot off the mat and you're gonna step your right toes as far over to the left as you can. Look over towards your left shoulder and push into your right hip. So just stretching through the side body here. Still pushing firmly into that right heel. Come all the way back to center. Re-extend that right leg up and just take a few ankle rolls, flexing and pointing the toes. And you're gonna bring your right knee towards your right shoulder and step that foot to the top of the mat to the outer edge of your right palm. So both hands are to the inside of that leg. Knee is on top of the ankle. You're gonna curl the back toes under, lift the back knee off the mat, and here try to push into your left heel. And I like to rock back and forth here. So we're also stretching into the hip flexors. Keep your left hand as it is. Reach your right arm up to the sky. This is your easy twist, open through the heart. And we'll take our first downward facing dog. So right hand comes back down and step your right foot next to your left. Feet are hip width distance apart. So because we are working on the calves here, I want you to bend your knees generously. So don't worry about having your legs straight or about having your heels touch the mat. Keep your heels up a little bit, bend your knees. Left knee stays bent. See if you can straighten your right leg and really push that right heel into the ground. Take a few breaths here, so isolating the right calf, keeping the arms nice and long. And now let's switch sides. Bend your right knee and see if you can straighten your left leg and press into that left heel. And drop your head. And let's take one more, bend the left knee, push into the right heel. Keep your right heel pressing down to the mat, but maybe bend a little bit into that right knee. This should change the sensation and the area of the stretch, sending it more towards the ankle, lower down from the calf. And move to the other side, push into your left heel and bend a little bit through your left knee. And tabletop pose. Come back down, hands and knees. Realign your palms underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And we're gonna press that left heel back. So push into the ball of the left toes and ball of the left foot. Spreading the fingertips nice and wide. Reach long through the crown of your head. And lift your left leg up. You're gonna step the left toes as far over towards the right as you can. Look over towards your right shoulder and push out into your left hip. So just a big side bend while still pushing back through that heel. Coming back to center, lift that left leg up and just take a few ankle rolls on this side, flexing and pointing the toes. Draw your left knee in towards your shoulder so that you can step the foot to the top of the mat on the outer edge of your left hand. So knee is over the ankle, both hands to the inside of that front foot. Tuck your back toes under, lift the back knee off the mat, and you can do that same rocking motion back and forth. Easy twist, right hand stays as it is, left arm reaches up to the sky. Downward facing dog. So just like before in your down dog, don't worry about having your knees straight, and we're just gonna paddle the feet. So you can alternate at your own pace, bending one knee, straightening the other leg, and switching a few times side to side. Downward dog is really one of the best poses that we can do to stretch out the calves. And now from this downward dog, you're gonna reach your right leg up to the sky, bend your right knee and open up your hip, and see if you can press down firmly into that left heel. Step your right foot forward in between your hands to the top of the mat. Back foot at a 45-degree angle, really push down through that heel. We're coming up to warrior one. So by doing this warrior one, you should really get a deep stretch through your back ankle as well as to the back calf. Arms can extend up once you're there. So as much as possible, keep that back leg straight. And to make this a lot deeper, you're going to bend further into that front knee. So the deeper I bend into my right knee, the more I feel it in my back calf. Keep your chest lifted up nice and tall. Let's circle the arms wide, hands to your hips. You're gonna straighten that front leg and narrow your stance a little bit. So the feet are doing the same thing, just not as wide. As you inhale, lift and lengthen halfway. And exhale, start to tilt forward and hold once you're about parallel to the mat. So working on strengthening hamstrings and strengthening calves, as well as stretching them. Hugging into the midline. Come all the way back up with your chest, hands at the heart. Let's step up to our chair pose. Big toes together, heels apart. Bend the knees, drop your hips. Take a full deep breath here in chair. Exhale, fold forward. You might straighten the legs. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the palms, find your plank pose. And in this plank pose, push back into your heels. See if you can stretch a little bit through the calves here. And downward facing dog, lift your hips up and back. Let's go to the other side. Lean on your right leg, reach your left leg up to the sky, bend that left knee, open up your hip, and push into your right heel even more. Coming to warrior one on the other side, left foot forward between the hands, back foot down at about a 45-degree angle. And once you have stability in the legs and you're engaging through the belly, you can lift up. So as much as possible, keep that back heel pushing down into the floor. And then you deepen this as much as you want to by bending more into that front knee. Try to draw your low belly in towards your low back. Lengthening your spine. Circle the arms wide, hands on your hips. You're gonna straighten that left leg, narrow your stance again. We're gonna take that half pyramid pose. As you inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, hinge forward. And hold when you're parallel to the floor. Try to keep your hips squared to the front of the mat. So you should feel this in your left leg, probably a little more than the right one. Push into the feet, come all the way up to stand. Hands at your heart, chair pose. Big toes together, heels apart. Drop down. Just here for a moment, inhale, exhale, fold, halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms, find your plank pose, push into the heels, so weight back in the heels here, and then downward facing dog. From this down dog, re-extend your right leg up to the sky, bend your right knee, open up your hip, and we're gonna find warrior one again. So right foot forward in between the palms to the top of the mat, back heel down, 45-degree angle. Inhale, lift up. We're just here for a moment. If you'd like to take this a little further, you can bring your palms together and shift your gaze up. Circle the arms wide, hands on your hips. Let's straighten that right leg, and you're gonna narrow your stance again. This time, with your block somewhere close in front of you, you're gonna place the ball of your right foot on that block. So depending on how tight the calves are, just by doing this and flexing the foot, some of you might feel the stretch already. If you don't feel much going on just yet, you're gonna lean forward and start to lift your back heel off the mat. So the more you can lean the weight forward, and you might even walk your toes to narrow the stance, you should really start to feel it. Pull up through your quads. So the more you get your hips and your shoulders over the ball of the foot and over the block, the deeper the sensation will be. And let's release this down. Bring your feet a little bit wider than your hips, heels in, toes out, hands at the heart. Drop down into your yogi squat, malasana. So this one, if the ankles and if the calves are really tight, you might notice that your heels are lifted off the floor. Over time, as we release the heels, we'll get a little bit closer down. Use your elbows to push the knees open a little wider. And if this is uncomfortable, you can simply use that block that you have in front of you and place it underneath the hips at any height that works. Otherwise, simply take a few breaths right here. Fingertips can come back down to the mat. Bring your feet parallel to the longer edges of the mat and lift up. So in your forward fold, keep your knees generously bent. Just take a little ragdoll pose here. You can hold on to the elbows, maybe sway a little side to side. Hands plant down firmly to the mat, downward facing dog. Push back into your heels, curl tailbone up. Let's go do this on the other side. Left leg rises, bend your left knee, open up your hip. Warrior one, left foot forward, back heel down. My left knee is stacked directly over my ankle. I'm pushing firmly as much as I can into that back heel. Try not to let that front knee waver side to side. Keep it driving directly forward. If you'd like to go further, hands come together, shift your gaze up. Open up the arms and release. You're gonna straighten that front leg, narrow your stance, and then you're gonna bring the ball of that left foot onto your block. So by flexing that left foot, you can start to shift the weight a little more into that left heel or into that left foot by lifting the back heel up and maybe coming onto the toes. You might find that one side is a little tighter than the other, or maybe balance is easier than one side from the other. Try to breathe into the intensity of this pose. Shifting the weight forward, one more breath. And very carefully let that go. So we'll come back into a squat. You have the option of doing the same one that we did before with the feet wider than the hips. If that was easy and you would like to make it a little bit harder, you're gonna narrow your stance. So heels in, toes out, bend the knees, drop the hips. So if you have a very narrow stance like what I have here, if the flexibility is there, you can even bring your heels together to touch and opening up. Or you can go a little bit wider, but you might not be able to keep your elbows to the insides of the thighs for this. So if the heels are really close together, you might want to reach and wrap around to the ankles and work on folding here. Take one more big breath. And find your forward fold, straighten the legs, release. Downward facing dog, plant your palms. This is our last downward dog, so go ahead and stretch and paddle the feet. Bring your knees down to the mat. Swing your legs out in front of you, and you can move your block to the side. We won't be needing it anymore. Bring your right leg out in front, curl the toes up, and you want the sole of your left foot to be to the inside of that right thigh. So instead of working on a traditional forward fold like we normally would in a pose like this, because we're working on the calf, I want you to think of curling your toes back towards your shin, and if it's accessible, you're gonna actually grab a hold of your toes and grab a hold of your foot to help and pull it even further back. You can always use a strap for this as well. Try to lengthen out of your lower back, keeping your spine nice and long. So this to me is the one that I find the most intense. See if you can soften into it. And let's slowly release. You can roll the ankle, point the toes, just a little counter stretch. And we'll switch sides. Left leg forward, right foot in. Curl your left toes back as if you wanted your toes to touch your shin. And then you can reach with your arms and really pull it back. Give yourself space in your neck, so drop your shoulders down and away from your ears. And let's release. Because this was a short class, we're just going to end in a seated meditation. You're welcome to finish in Shavasana instead. Otherwise, just cross your legs, sit up tall in any way that works. Close your eyes and take a few moments here just to notice the effects of your practice on your body, on your mind, on your breath. And bringing the focus inwards. And really thanking yourself for making the time to practice and get on your mat today. Hands together at the front of the heart, bowing forward. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis. I hope you found this little yoga therapeutics class helpful and that it helps you release any tension or stiffness in the calves as well as the ankles, and we even got into the sole of the foot and the toes as well, so the lower portion of the leg. If you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. You can just click on that red subscribe button. It's simple, it's free, and it's a great way to support free yoga on the internet. I have new yoga classes that come out every single week, and I would love to get your support so that I can continue to make even more yoga classes for you. If you have any requests, you can leave them down below in the comments or just let me know how this went for you. Or you can also join my student community Facebook group, and I often take video requests there. Thanks again. Have a great day. Namaste.